Hi, Tameka. How are you?
Hey Tay, I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. So, hi, we again, people. Today we have a special, very, 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 very special guest today. We have an author by the name of Tameka Fryer Brown. We are so excited to have her here on Thinking with Tay today. We are just honored to have you, Tameka, because I know that you are an award-winning author, and I am just ecstatic to have you here today. And so, thank you for joining us on Thinking with Tay.
Well, thank you for inviting me. I am honored to be here.
Great, great, great. And before we get started, listeners, I kind of want to share a little bit of foundational information about Tameka. You know, Tameka is, again, just a profound author. I was able to read, I had the honor and the privilege to read all of her books, even the one that's coming out in 2026. She gave me the inside, on it, and it is awesome. Prayer is coming out in 2026, but there's a number of books we're going to get to, and we want to get from Tameka the understanding what came from this particular, what inspired her to write these books, these children's books. And so we're going to delve into that. But before we get started, I want to just share a little bit more about Tameka Brown. Tameka Fryer Brown is a picture book author who writes to sow seeds of love and pride, connectivity, and inclusion in the hearts of children. Her books have won awards like the Charlotte Huck Honor Award, the Charlotte Zolotow, I think I'm saying that right, Tameka,
Mhm, mhm.
Zolotow Honor Award, and the Jane Addams Children's Book Honor Award. Her books have also been featured on Best Book List by the Cooperative Children's Book Center, New York Public Library, Bank Street College, NPR, Parents Latina Magazine, Little Free Library, Kirkus, and more. Tameka's recent titles include 12 Dinging Doorbells. That flag, ooh, that flag, we're going to get into that. I can't wait. That
Okay.
flag and all the greatness in you. Her next book, Prayer Is, will be published in 2026, as I said before. In her spare time, Tameka enjoys introvert friendly, wow, okay, activities. I think I'm a little bit of an introvert, but some people say, no, you're not. You're not an introvert. Introvert friendly activities like playing board games, Netflix blinging. Oh, I love Netflix. Binging, excuse me, and over analyzing. I can do that too. Everything. Oh my gosh. I
Yes.
think it's second nature for it might be first nature. She is
Mhm.
a proud member of the Brown Bookshelf Writers and Illustrators of North Carolina and Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, which is my sorority as well. So she's my soror. So again, I am honored to have you. Hear ye, Mrs. Tameka Fryer Brown. Thank you
Thank you, thank
again.
you, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for being here with us today. Again, I am just elated. I really am. And before again we get started, I know we're gonna go everybody. Y'all just hold your horses, hold your horses. We're gonna get into our books. But Tamika, tell me just a little bit more about you personally before we get into your professional career as a writer. Tell me, where are you from?
Okay, well, I am from originally Miami, Florida.
Okay, okay.
Born and raised, but I have now been in Charlotte for over 30 years,
Oh, this
longer than I ever was in Miami. So I don't know. I kind of claim Charlottean now, but
this is
yeah,
home.
originally from Miami. Yeah, yeah,
Awesome,
yeah.
awesome, awesome. Oh my, you are a Floridian, a lot
Yes.
going on in Florida, but we're not this ain't what
That's
this is
why
about.
I started to say that's why I'm claiming Charlotte, but I don't know. It's a lot going on here too. So
It's everywhere. It's a lot going on everywhere.
mhm.
30 years, Charlatan. Wow, wow, wow. So it's funny. I'm not a true Charlatan. My daughter was born here, but I'm just a neighboring city away, Hickory, North Carolina. So yes, ma'am. So
Oh yeah.
anyway, great, great. So and as far as your educational background, where did you matriculate as far as college?
Yes, so I went to the Florida A&M University in
Okay.
Tallahassee, Florida. and that
Okay.
is where I met my husband. And
Yeah.
some 30 odd years later, or 30 years later, I think we just turned 30 this past May. So don't let me rush it.
Congratulations.
Um,
Congratulations.
thank
Yeah.
you, thank you, thank you. And we've got three adult children, all
Yeah.
women. I used to say girls, but now I
I
say
know.
all young women.
Yeah, you got to give them that. You
Yeah,
got to give them that. They want to be grown, and they are, and they are. And it's
they
time,
are.
everybody, right? We go through stages of growth and it's time. So they are women now. Yes,
Yep.
ma'am. They are ladies now. Yes, yes,
Yes.
great. So how many? You said three?
Three.
Wow, three daughters, no sons, huh?
No sons.
No
In fact,
sons.
number three was my like one more.
Oh,
I'm,
okay,
I'm gonna
gotcha.
give you
That's
one more
it.
attempt.
I'm gonna give you one more.
God
I'm gonna
said
give you
three. God
one more.
said girls, and so we said we hear you.
We hear ye. I know that's right. I know that's right. I just
Yeah.
have one girl myself, but I started much later in life.
Hmm.
So it's okay. It's okay. Great,
Absolutely.
great, beautiful, beautiful. So let's delve on a little bit into the books.
Okay.
One thing I did read about you, I always like to do a little bit of research on my guests, and I saw where you started out as a medical supply sales representative. And then you kind of became, I love how you describe it though. You said FTM, a full-time, what'd you say, full-time mom?
Full-time mom, because
Full-time
we know
mom.
back, especially back then, when you used the term stay-at-home mom,
Yes, yes.
that not only included like focusing on the kids, but also all of that other domestic, cleaning and this, that, and
That's
the other. I mean,
right.
I do what I need to do, but
Hello.
that's not my joy.
That's right.
So, but my joy was focusing on rearing my kids, and
Yes, ma'am.
I treated it as
Yes.
my occupation.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. And you
And
know
so
what? And I think people can almost think, oh, she's a stay-at-home mom. I always hear mothers who stay at home and raise their children and take care of the household. They'll say, honey, I am CEO of my household. I've heard it
absolutely.
described as that. They've said, no, I'm CEO of
Yes.
I'm the chief executive officer of my household because I run,
Exactly.
yeah, I
A
mean,
lot, a
I'm the
lot to it.
nucleus.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yes.
And that not only that, but then you're the Uber driver, you the chef,
You
you're
all
all
love it.
of it. And
It's a whole corporation going on at
yes,
home, ain't it?
yes, yes. One person
One
company,
one
but
person. That's all
but no,
right. But
but
so
but but but,
so
but let me say this though,
yes,
since
yes.
we are live and talking to the people, my husband is absolutely great, and
That's right.
he very involved,
That's right.
and he worked a lot, especially when they were young, like he had to
Yes.
travel or whatever. But
Yes.
when he was home on the weekends,
He jumped in.
he was in there.
That's
So
right.
so
That's
so
what
we're giving hubby his
we're gonna
props.
give him his flowers.
That's right.
Oh, it's awesome to have a true partnership. I'm
It
blessed to
is.
have one as well. So I always tell
Yes,
people, I say my husband basically, I said he does and know how to do everything I know how to do. He
that's
really
right.
does. So we are true partners in our marriage as well of 21 years, not 30, but we could, I'll say collectively we have been together nearly 30, 27 years total. So yes,
Mm-hmm.
I know exactly what you mean. And true partnership is, I mean, it's
It's
certainly a
everything.
benefit that a lot
Yeah,
of people I know don't have. So, honey, we have to give credit to our husbands.
that's right. That's
Okay,
right.
okay, great, 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 great. So from full-time mom, then you became author. And so let's go ahead and jump in. What inspired you then to become an author?
Hmm.
Hmm.
Well, so I left the workforce when my oldest daughter was about 8 months old,
Okay.
and then that one baby turned ultimately
Oh
into
yeah.
three babies.
Oh
And
yeah.
when my youngest was about two,
Yes.
I was ready to do something in addition to being an FTM.
Yes.
But I had to figure out what that was. And
That's
so I
right.
did a couple businesses in a box,
Okay.
and that wasn't really working for me.
Yeah.
So I just happened to be reading a children's book to the youngest one day. And, reading has been a fundamental part of our philosophy as parents,
That's right.
right? For
That's
all
right.
three of the kids,
Absolutely.
even starting in utero. It's
Hmm.
just very, very important. And so, but I
Absolutely.
was reading a book to her one day, and I was like, you know what? this is it.
This is
I think
it.
this is what I want to do. I had always been told I was a good writer in school and
Yes.
throughout my life. Even business letters, I got, accolades for those. And I was like, I think I can do this. And
Yes.
so just it was like an out of the blue light bulb moment. But
Wow.
it was a blessing, it was
Absolutely.
inspiration
Mm-hmm.
from
Absolutely.
above. And so that was like that was, how I determined that I wanted to pursue this, and
Yes.
I just got straight to work. And that not a couple of weeks later, I had drafted a full manuscript, which I thought was going to win me all kind of awards, and people were going to be fighting over it. That did not happen. It was not quite
Right.
publishable,
Right.
but I was so pumped and inspired that even though it didn't sell, I knew that this was still the path that I was
That's the
supposed to be
path.
on. So
That is amazing. That's awesome. And it's interesting that you actually got it to publication, right? So there's a lot of people that write,
not that book, not that book,
oh,
but something else down the road. Yeah.
okay,
Oh yeah, that
okay.
one. Yeah, that one. That one didn't quite make it. It's still on my laptop.
But you know
But
what?
yeah.
It might not be time for that one yet. You know what? You might have started
Mhm.
thinking about something. You have to, kind of groom it a little bit, and it might come out later. We
Absolutely.
might be
It
revisiting this
might.
much later, and you say, that I started this writing on this book umpteen years ago, right?
That's
And
right.
that's kind of how stories they evolve in that way. So even though it might
Absolutely.
not been the best, starting out, you might revisit that one, and you never know, it might be your best bestseller. So who
Okay, I
knows? Who
received that.
knows?
Yeah, yeah, I mean, it might. Mhm.
So now, and it's funny too. One thing I do, the reason why I wanted to have you on today, honestly, because as I've shared with you just outside of this conversation, I have books that I have. So that's what I was saying. I was kind of alluding to earlier. At least you've gotten books. Maybe not the first one, but books to publication, right? I have books that I've written that I've copywritten, but I have not published, right? So I am in the process of doing that, and
Mhm.
hopefully in the near future I'll be able to complete that process. But yes, I am an unpublished author, and I have it copyrighted. So I just have to, I think, an
Mhm.
opportunity. Well, whenever I find the time or the feeling I get to publish it. Right now, it's just not the time yet. But I commend you and those that
Mhm.
write. I do enjoy writing myself, and it's funny that really didn't come, I'll say, to me. I didn't even know that I was a writer in that way. I always wrote well. I received the advanced research and writing in law school. So I knew I wrote well, but stories, I just didn't know that I had. And not necessarily just stories, it's poetry. So I have an similar, well, somewhat like an autobiographical poetry book that I have copyrighted as well that I have yet to release. And I think I'm gonna let the spirit lead me in terms of timing. So anyway, I commend you. I'm super proud of you. So now, how long have you been a children's book author?
Well, if you count from that day that I decided I wanted to
Okay.
do it, actually, I always count two dates. One, when I joined this organization called the Society of Children's Book Writers and Illustrators,
Okay.
because that's when my education on children's book writing really began. And
Yes.
so if you count from that date, it's been 20 years.
Ooh, wow,
But
20
if you count from
years.
the day my first book came out, it's been 15.
15 years.
Yeah.
15 years. And I know there's been
Yeah.
ebb and flows. And I tell you, sometimes, as we were just talking about, it takes time to write, and then in particular, what
Mm-hmm.
I was so impressed about with all of your books was how relatable your books are, and how I think I could really fit myself into the stories. I felt like I could walk as those characters. I could visualize them. And so that's what I was like, this is really good. She's a really good writer that taps into, honestly, I say the conscience of people, and children can really, I mean, as an adult, like I really was, it was reminiscent of my childhood in reading some of those stories. It just brought back really good memories. And again, I don't want to jump ahead. So I'm because I'm going to take these one by one. So,
Well, but I thank you for saying
okay.
that though,
Yes.
because I think when as we write authors, particularly authors for kids, we're not only writing for this generation's kids, but we're also writing for the kids in within ourselves. You know, the
Yes.
stories that maybe we wish we had had, things that we wish we had been exposed to, people that said to us messages. So I appreciate you saying that.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I did when I mean, I literally when I gathered all of your books because I got them all at the same time, I sat in the parking lot and I read every last one of them. I didn't move. I didn't move. And then as I was doing my questions, I went and I reread them. And so I'm telling you, they're page turners. So thinkers, listen, go get her books. And we're gonna start naming them off because honestly, your children need to read them. You need to read them. You're gonna laugh and you're gonna relate. You're gonna laugh and you're gonna relate. They're awesome books. They really are. So in your bio, as I was reading, you expressed that you write to sow seeds of self love, pride, connectivity, and inclusion in the hearts of children. Now, how did you develop this passion?
Um, I think, that's comes from my mission statement. And
Yes.
I think I had to write a number of books to kind of figure out what my mission statement really was. So it
Okay.
kind of was done in reverse.
Yes.
And so when I looked at my body of work, those are some of the things that I found that they all had in common, right?
Okay.
And my authorial perspective is kind of as mom. I want
Yes.
to write stories that
Yes.
pour into kids.
I love it.
You know, we want to pour into our children
Yes.
seeds of love and
Yes.
affirmation,
Ooh.
joy, pride. We want to
Mm-hmm.
teach them things. We want to teach them
Mm-hmm.
the truth about history, about humanity, about love, about life,
Yes.
about all the things.
Yes.
And so when I looked at my books, I felt like that's what's been
Mm.
guiding me.
That's
Um,
exactly right.
yeah.
And you just hit on something when you talk about affirmations. Again, we're going to get into this a little bit later with one of your books in particular. And I always say, and I've said it on actually many sort of podcast interviews that I've had, and we talked about children, and because I've had another children's author on Thinking with Tay. And that was one of the things. She had a book about affirmations as well. And I always say it's so important to affirm and have, and all it starts is with I am.
Mm-hmm.
I am beautiful. I am smart. And I'm really sort of giving the affirmations that we gave our own daughter and the things and having her look in the mirror. It's important to see that reflection where you're saying it, not just audibly out loud, but you're visualizing, you're seeing yourself say it because the repetition, is important in terms of affirming over your life positivity. And so, again, I was thoroughly impressed with, your books, the message that's conveyed, that children can receive and embrace it and really receive it and indoctrinate it, into their lives. Because a lot of times there are parents that don't really communicate or even guide their children in that way. So it's great to have books like this where children can read and understand. But affirmations really is I am. So you have to be really careful about what you say to yourself.
Yeah.
Use positive words. I am smart. I am intelligent. I am resourceful. I am it really, because that's what you're claiming over your life is so important. So I love that. I love that. So now in we're going to jump into that flag. I was really moved by this particular story, and in that flag the story depicts two cute little characters, Kiara and Bianca, who seemingly have a very close friendship, until Kiara becomes, I'll say, conscious about the Confederate flag that hangs on her friend Bianca's front porch. So I I can relate to this a little bit, but I want to hear from you. What inspired you to write this story? Why was it important to write this story in the way that you did?
Mhm. So back in, I think it was 2015,
Mm-hmm.
there was the Charleston church shootings.
Yes.
And if you remember back then, the murderer was seen on social media,
Mm-hmm.
kind of like standing in front of the Confederate flag in multiple
Mm-hmm.
pictures and holding guns
Mm-hmm.
and things of that nature. And
Mm-hmm.
so then there began this public conversation,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not new, but it was, it had recycled itself again, and
Mm-hmm.
everybody was talking about whether or not the Confederate flag was really a symbol of hate, or it was just about heritage and
Yeah.
Southern pride.
Yes.
And I was so distraught, like, about
Yeah.
the whole situation.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, well, what can I do
What can,
as a children's book author?
wow.
um and what I thought I could do is set the record straight
Mm.
for the next generation
Okay.
of kids, and even for the adults in their lives who would
Mm-hmm.
maybe be reading this book to them. I could
Mm-hmm.
set the record straight about the true history of the Confederate flag,
Mm-hmm.
where it came from, how it came to be, how it's been used throughout the years in this country, how it's still being used today.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that if I could, tell the truth about that, set the record straight, give that information, share it with kids and adults as well, then I would have done something helpful for society and maybe our country's future. So
Yes.
so
Yes.
that's really what motivated me to write that book. And I decided to tell it as a friendship story
Yes.
because I thought that was a really that would be a good way to enter the story for the youngest readers, right? Because that's
Excellent.
what they relate to, relationship,
Excellent.
friendships, and things of
Yes.
that nature. So,
Yes. That is excellent. And you did it so, I mean, I'm telling you, I was so impressed by it because I immediately thought of a situation that I had, and it wasn't about the flag, but I find when I was younger, I had a really good friend in elementary school. And just for our listeners who will hopefully purchase this book because you need to have it in your kids' library at home. I thought about the person will go nameless, for the purpose of this interview. But I remember in elementary school, I had a friend, and for the purpose of everybody listening, Kiara and Bianca, they are, one is Caucasian and one is African American. And I had a similar relationship in high school, in elementary. And I would go over their house and we would eat cookies and lemonade and hang out in the little tree house and had a great time. But a lot of times, or at least back when we were growing up, I found that when we're younger, when we're smaller, the relationship is good. Both parents, everybody's on both sides. They're okay. We're young. It's sweet. It's nice. It's harmless. But as we get older, it seems like there are certain relationships and information that's been shared or passed down. And then the friendships don't always last. Right. And so when reading this book, That Flag, while it wasn't the flag, it was more symbolic of the differences in our cultures, or the lessons that are being taught in our households, respectively. So when we're younger, it seems that we're less harmless, or the relationship less harmless or less threatening. Um, I'm not sure where the information starts to come in where it becomes more divisive. And I like how you started out, as you said, you introduced this information and through a relationship. And at the end of the book, because I'm not going to tell y'all everything about the book, it ends very positively because there are lessons that are learned in this book. There's discovery, there's history, then there's understanding and resolution. And I think it's important that this book is on every shelf in every child's household and honestly passed down because it was phenomenally written, and it's understandable and relatable by myself as an adult and for your children. It really is. So I thank you for that because it was great in the way you wrote it. It really was. It really was. It's very understandable. And thank you for that because that's a topic, a very sore topic, even still to this day. And the history that you provided it was spot on. It was spot on.
Yeah. Well, I thank you for that.
Hmm.
There's back matter just for your listeners. Not only is there the story itself, but there's also back matter at the end of it that really gives more factual information
Hmm.
that will help guide conversations. At the beginning of the book, we have there, we hope that this book will foster transformative conversations
Yes.
among people.
Yes.
And so yeah, I think that the thing you were talking about when we're young, I know a lot of times this is true for Black families. We are trying to protect our kids' innocence as long as we can.
Yes. Yes.
So even sometimes, if we see that neighbor and we kind of are a little bit suspect about, certain things, we don't want to put that on our kids too young because we're like, they're gonna figure it out sooner or later. Something's gonna happen
That's
in
true.
their lives to take that innocence, that what I call that racial innocence, away.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so, but I think what we also do sometimes with that is we kind of set them up for the shock,
Mm-hmm.
because if you can think about the pain of if the first time that you maybe had a friend of a different race, a white friend or
That's
whatever,
right.
and that racism hit you,
Absolutely.
it's
Absolutely.
so painful.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think, this book offers a way to maybe
Mm-hmm.
have a conversation,
Mm-hmm.
um so that you are introducing some topics to your kids so that they're not quite as devastated
Correct.
when they ultimately are impacted by
That's right.
racism.
That's
So
right.
it's just that balance we walk.
Mm-hmm.
But we have to have the talk.
We
We
do.
also, and balance that, when do you have the talk? Because I'm trying to protect your innocence as long as possible. But
That's
I
right.
think we live in a time right now
Mm-hmm.
where it's so important to equip our kids. That's our Black kids, that's our white kids, that's all
That's
of our
true.
kids,
That's true.
to know right and wrong when it comes to
Absolutely.
this kind of stuff. And that's why I wrote this book, to help equip them to do that.
Excellent, excellent. And given the current, as you just kind of alluded to, like the things that are going on right now in America, what do you think, I'll say, our listeners can learn from, Kiara and Bianca's relationship and the way in which they were able to, resolve their differences at the end of the story?
Mm-hmm. And I think where we leave the end of the story, I'm like, you don't want to give too much away.
I
I think
know.
it's hopeful. Like, I wrote an
Yes.
ending where you do feel that there was some hope at the end. It's not
Yes.
really exactly tied up in a bow.
Yes.
Sometimes I ask kids, what do you think are gonna happen? What's gonna happen next?
Next.
With this relationship. Um, but I think, and I see I'm having a singular moment. What did you ask me? What was your question? Oh, what do you think we can learn? What do you
Yeah,
think we
no,
can
that's
learn
okay.
from?
Honey,
Okay.
we all have them
I, yeah, yeah, I'm at that age. I have
all
them.
the
It's okay.
time.
I think, I think we can learn the value of embracing truth. Sometimes we
Mm.
gotta, when we're confronted with information
Yes.
that maybe we didn't know about before,
Yes.
as opposed to automatically rejecting it because it's something different than you've ever learned, and whoever taught you the thing that you believed before, you can't let go of the fact that maybe they taught you something wrong, and because maybe you'll have to judge them, and et cetera, et cetera.
That's
Everybody
right.
does the best they can with the information they have. But when
Absolutely.
you learn new information
Yes.
and new truths, you need to allow that to influence your thinking, your actions, how you move about in this world. And so I think
I
what
agree.
we can learn from them is not to be afraid of the truth,
Not to be
to
afraid.
embrace facts and the truth
Mm-hmm.
when we
Mm-hmm.
receive them, and then to act, on them. Learn better, do better.
Yes. Learn better, do better. I like that. That's absolutely true. And that's really what this book is about. And that's what our listeners will understand. And the messages that I receive were certainly easily conveyed, honestly, in your story. So excellent, great. And do you have that book, by the way? I do see it. It's You have it. I want you to show it to our listeners. I do have my copy. It's over there. Yes, that
This
flag.
is that flag.
Yes,
And
yes.
it's beautifully illustrated by Nicholas Smith, who also illustrated the children's book for the 1619 projects Born on the Water,
Yes.
written by Nicole Hannah Jones and also Renee Watson, co-written by
Excellent.
them. And he's the
Okay.
illustrator for this as well. So,
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you.
mhm.
So, next, in Not Done Yet, you essentially chronicle Shirley, the Honorable, and late Shirley Chisholm's life and her journey from childhood to her adult life, where she became the first Black woman elected to Congress in 1968, as well as her fervent effort, I'll say, in her campaign to become the first Black and female president of the United States in 1972. The title of the book suggests that there is still work to be done. The task is not yet complete. Yes, ma'am. Thank you for putting that up. Yes, yes. The task is not yet complete. What more do you think can be done, or need to be done in order to achieve the goal that Representative Shirley Chisholm, as well as recently our Vice President Kamala Harris, set out to accomplish? What more, just in your humble opinion? I know you're not a politician, but we all have a voice, and just writing from this book, Not Done Yet, seems to suggest that there's more to be done, because one, the goal has yet to be accomplished. So what more do you think we need to do in order to reach or attain that goal here in America?
If the goal that we're speaking about is equality, equity, inclusion, um, we just can't give up. I mean, like you said, I'm not a politician. I'm not a
Right.
the leading strategist. But
Yeah.
what I can say is that we all have a role to play in our own sphere of influence,
Hmm.
in advancing those things, however we can. For
Yes.
me, it's by writing children's books to try to plant those seeds we talked about of equity and inclusion. And for somebody else, it's something else. But whatever it is, we all have to speak up,
Hmm.
again, in our own sphere of influence, about
Hmm.
what is right. A lot of people are going quiet, I feel like, in this time.
Hmm.
There's fear
Yes.
about payback, retribution, and things of that nature. It's not unjustified fear,
Right.
but it still is going to take some courage and some
Hmm.
bravery,
Hmm.
to speak up, to to stand out, to do things. Like, I'm a big believer in economic justice and
Yes.
economic boycotts and things of that
Hmm.
nature. I
Hmm.
personally feel like this country speaks in the language of dollars, and so when you're
Hmm.
trying to have a movement, you need to learn how to monetize the movement.
Hmm.
So that's my thing. Okay,
Yes.
but other people, perhaps it is more about showing up physically with marches, and we all need to vote. We needed to have voted more than, like, our votes are in peril now, our ability to vote. But while we still have it, we need to get up, we need to show, we need to do all the things. We just cannot give up and
Yes.
give into um to forces and powers
Hmm.
that would try to roll us back to the
Mm.
1950s or
And
whatever and strip
beyond.
away our rights. We cannot just sit idly by and hope it away. We can pray. I'm a believer in prayer. I wrote a book.
Absolutely.
We're gonna talk about it later,
We're
called
gonna talk
Prayer
about it later.
Is.
Yes.
But you gotta do something else. God expects us to work as well. So I don't know. That was a big ramble. I could have said I
No,
don't know, but what I do know is we cannot give up. And
understood.
we gotta do whatever it is that we can do in our own little worlds to make a difference. And that includes speaking up.
Absolutely. And something came to mind just automatically, a verse, prayer without works is dead.
It's
Faith
dead.
without works is
It's
dead.
dead.
So there's effort. You can pray, but solely praying and not activating, not putting, at your prayer into work and executing,
Yeah.
I don't know how effective you'll be without it.
Right. And
Faith
when we
without
work
works
and
is
when we
dead.
do those things courageously, we're doing them in faith, right?
Absolutely.
That's a part of your faith as well.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right. Well, thank you for sharing that. Not done yet. And let's look at that cover just one more time, just so
Mhm.
because
And
I
this
just
one,
love that.
I like to shout out my illustrators because I've been so
Absolutely.
fortunate with amazing illustrators.
Yes, you have.
And
Yes,
this
you
one
have.
is illustrated by Nina Cruz.
Okay.
Beautifully
Nina
illustrated. Yeah.
Cruz.
And
Beautiful.
speaking of which, you mentioned our esteemed sister. The last spread not only
Yep,
talks
that's
about
right.
Shirley Chisholm, but the path that she's paved for so many politicians. And right here,
Absolutely. From
Kamala Harris is included as
from the
well. So, yeah,
beginning to current, and
that's right.
the many shoulders that our former vice president stand on,
That's right.
the many shoulders. There's a whole host of wonderful African American females that
That's right.
preceded her, and
Absolutely.
she has even said herself she stand on those
Absolutely.
shoulders. So excellent, excellent, thank you for that. So
Mhm.
moving on to 12 dinging doorbells.
Yeah.
I automatically thought about this rhythm in my head as I was going through it. Let's show our listeners 12 dinging doorbells. So cute. Oh my gosh. It's so cute.
My funny book.
Yeah, so it's so cute. So in 12 dinging doorbells, I found the recurring theme to be really love of family, particularly the love of a girl for her grandmother and her sweet potato pie. And I just got tickled about this simply because I thought about my grandmother and my relationship. Now, all of my cousins, it was 14 grandchildren, and we were tight, and we still are tight to this very day. But I remember we all used to frequent her house, and she would cook and we'd play in the yard and different games, and we all just sleep over. And she always would say, yeah, everybody could come over. The floor ain't crowded. And so we would have what they call down, south, you probably heard of it. We'd make a pallet on the
A
floor.
palette. Yep.
And a pallet, for those that don't know about a pallet, is just some cover, so some blankets, and then you cover up, might
Mhm.
be a sheet, might be a blanket, whatever. But we would have literally sleepovers every weekend. We would have a ball at my grandmother's house. So I immediately thought about that. So I just love 12 Dinging Doorbells because again, every one of your books just made me reminisce about something or some part or period in my lifetime. And I just immediately just started laughing through this book. And I was like, yes. And we have a lot of family gatherings where we eat and bring food. And sometimes it's too loud and, whatever. So is this story somewhat autobiographical for you?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. And in
Okay.
fact, my grandmother was well known for her sweet potato pies.
Oh,
And she would always make sure, like her house was the gathering
the
place.
gathering place.
And it was
Okay.
small, but
Yes.
it was still crowded with people every holiday. Every month we did the birthday celebrations, the monthly
Yes.
birthday celebrations come there. And so yeah, so she would always, and no matter what the situation was, when everybody left, they could have their fill of sweet potato pie, but there was gonna be another one left for me.
Oh, that's
You know,
precious.
yes. And so yeah, I was getting ready to go home. My grandmother passed away when I was in college still.
Okay.
But when I the idea for this book, I was getting ready to go home to
Yeah.
Miami for Thanksgiving, I think it was. And I was this maybe even Christmas, but I was in this holiday spirit. I think it was
Yes.
Christmas. And so there was this thing, I don't know if you've ever seen it online, called Thanksgiving with Black Families.
I don't
It's
think.
a hashtag.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, okay. And I don't even know if it's so much now, but you could still probably search it. But
Find it.
a couple of
Okay.
few years ago, it was the
Okay.
thing. And so
Okay.
I would look at it and it was just, it's all these memes that mostly all Black families can relate to,
Right.
like things that happen during the holidays.
Yes.
Some of them are not really G-rated,
Yes. Yeah. Right.
but it was just so funny. Yeah. And so I was thinking as I was getting ready to go home, I should write a book about this because I was feeling real nostalgic, really excited about going to spend time with family. I thought about Thanksgiving with Black families. I said, let me write a book about this. And then since it was almost Christmas, I was like, and I could write it kind of in the vein of the
That's right.
12 Days of Christmas.
Exactly.
And so that's how all that came together. But yeah, it's just honoring family. Like you said, it's loudness, playing
All of it.
cards, fraternity brothers stepping,
Yes.
that somebody bringing the chitlins that
Oh my
nobody wants
gosh.
to eat.
All of it. I fell out when I was like, some of the delicacies that you were saying. I said again, yes, in almost every African American family, you're gonna see this, you're gonna see that, you're gonna see
Yes.
that. I was like, oh my God, her books are so cute. They're super relatable. I know I keep saying that, but I'm telling you, I just thought about I had a story that I could recount in my mind or recall in my mind, about in every one of your books. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's so good.
Thank
12
you.
dinging doorbells. I love that. Okay, so next one up is y'all listeners. I'm telling y'all. I mean, she ain't just wrote one book now. I mean, and I'm telling you, we'd be here all night, talking. But so the next one up is My Cold Plum Lemon Pie Bluesy Mood. Let's share
That's
that
a
with
lot. That's
you.
a mouthful, but this
It's
is it
all
right
right.
here.
Beautiful, beautiful. And who's the illustrator for
Oh
that?
yes. Let me back up.
Oh yeah, oh
All
yeah,
right.
oh yeah.
This
12
one
dinging
is
doorbells.
Ebony Glenn.
I know.
And interesting thing about her illustrations is that she used cut paper to do
I was
these.
okay,
She
almost
did
because I said
cut
it almost
paper.
looked like, remember the doll pieces that we used to have years ago, like the Barbie doll and all those.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so she did that. Okay.
Yep. And
Yes.
she added the details, like maybe the eyebrows and stuff
Yes,
digitally.
yes,
But she
yes.
cut. Yeah, it was amazing. And then this one is illustrated by Shane Evans.
Shane Evans. Okay. Okay,
Yep, Shane
very
W. Evans. And
pretty.
this one came out in 2013. So it's
Oh,
kind of
okay.
my
Okay.
second book.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice, 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 beautiful. All of them, all the covers are, all of the illustrations are beautiful. So, in this particular book, the main character, his name was Jamie, and
Mm-hmm.
Jamie experiences several different moods and emotions as he sort of I would say just from my reader view, as a result of different circumstances that he encounters, causing moods, his moods to change. And much like most children, I would say, experience in their day-to-day lives at school and at home. But why did you feel it important to tell this story about moods and different emotions and etc.?
Because I think it's important for us to encourage our kids to embrace their feelings,
Mm-hmm.
um, to own them, to acknowledge that they exist, and that includes the happy ones and the not so happy ones.
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer that there's no such thing as a bad mood, feeling, or bad
Mm-hmm.
mood. All of our emotions are they serve a purpose.
Yes.
I think they're all divinely given to us.
Yes.
And if we use them in the right way, they can help us to grow and be better people. And
Mm-hmm.
that's all of the emotions. And so,
Absolutely.
so I just wanted to write this book to encourage kids that whatever they're feeling is okay. There's a way to act on your feelings or to
Mm-hmm.
engage with them
Mm-hmm.
that's positive.
Mm-hmm.
But that you don't need to consider any of them um as feelings that you can't that's wrong to feel.
That's right.
Just to be more emotionally, I guess, intelligent.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to be an adult to write this book to tell them, hey, it's okay, feel
It
what you
is
feel.
okay. It is okay.
Yeah.
And I thought this book was extremely important simply because there's a lot of, or I won't say a lot. Um, I don't have the percentages on it, but I know that it seems like the story is becoming more prevalent about basically elementary children and young children committing suicide.
Yeah.
And that is extremely hurtful and sad because I often wonder, like, if somebody, listen, I understand parents got a lot on their plate. I'm not being judgy here. I'm just, at some point, that's where I say, I think about the affirmations, why they're so important, as we, kind of discussed earlier. And then there could be some psychological things truly that are going on there. Diagnosis, maybe not being made or discovered. But it saddens me the more I hear that about, children. Of course, there's cyberbullying and there's different things that are going on. So when I thought about this story, and I used to be a juvenile, I used to work for Department of Juvenile Justice, and I saw all the kids in our county that committed what they don't like to say crimes, but undisciplined acts. And some had psychological problems. I would have to refer them out to what I would consider, and what we called it at that time was alternative resources, a diversion from court. And I would try to do that as much as I can. Now, if it was a felony, excuse me, if it was a felony, then there was nothing I could do. But if it was a misdemeanor, I was always going to look for that community-based alternative to try to get them the help that they need. And I think a lot of things go undiagnosed and missed. And so when I saw this book, I said, I am so happy that she makes it okay to have and acknowledge these emotions that and these feelings, because we all don't know how to wrap them up in a bow. And at that young age,
Mhm.
it's very hard, and it's hard to
Mhm.
have or be able to express. So I felt like this was a really good sort of depiction of emotion and expression, and mom paying very close attention to her son's feelings.
And let me say this, this is a book that where Jamie expresses his feelings through the metaphor of color, right?
Yes.
So he'll have a purple mood or a yellow mood or a green mood. And this is a book that has been used by some therapists and folks in that field
Mm,
whose
okay.
job it is to help
Mm-hmm.
young people
Okay.
work through their emotions and express their emotions. And sometimes something like this, using colors to express how
Mm-hmm.
you feel. How are you feeling? What color are you feeling today? And I
Mm-hmm.
don't have it, but it's on my website as a resource.
Okay.
There is a mood, I call it a moodometer.
Okay.
And it's something, a craft. You could put it together really easy. You could print out the sheet, and it has all of the different moods on there. The kids can color them themselves. You can choose your own
Mm.
colors. These are colors that Jamie assigns to his moods, but a
Okay.
kid may have their own colors, and
Mm-hmm.
they could do that. They could put it together. It's with a little brad in the middle, and
Mm-hmm.
they could spin and point. If they don't have the words or don't want to use the words, but they still want to communicate, they could put, if you hang this on their door and they want to communicate how they're feeling, they could move the little pointer to sad, or they could move it to scared, or
That
whatever.
would be a
And
good
that's a way for
activity.
them to communicate as well. But yeah, this is for us to, it's so important for us, like
Yes.
you said, the mental health crisis in people is getting younger and younger and younger.
Yes.
And they are unaliving themselves at
Mm-hmm.
younger ages.
Mm-hmm.
And it is so important for us to let them know not only is it okay that we all feel all kinds of things,
Sure.
that the sun rises tomorrow. It
Yes, it
feels really
does.
dark right now. The sun rises tomorrow. And I'm here for you. And it's okay to say what you're feeling,
Mm-hmm.
because then you can get help for it. So all
Absolutely.
of those things is just so important.
Absolutely. I love that. I love that so much. Great, great work. Great work. Next up, Brown Baby Lullaby. That was just the cutest. Let's see that one. Brown
Let's
Baby
see.
Lullaby. So
Okay,
cute.
here we go.
Adorable.
So
Adorable.
cute. And
So
this one is
cute.
a board book.
Yeah,
It used to be a hardcover with pages, but now it's a board book.
it's beautiful.
Thank
Beautiful.
you.
Again, illustrator.
Oh yes, thank you very much. Illustrator is A.G. Ford.
Yes.
Beautiful
Beautiful.
illustrations he did for this
Beautiful.
one.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes. Gorgeous. Yeah, you have some great illustrators. So this
Definitely.
story, again, from my perspective, it depicts a story of a beautiful, exuberant, joyful brown baby boy who is, I would say, tremendously loved and cared for by his mother and father. Obviously, the cover depicts that as well. From your perspective, how important, I would say, is it for these types of stories to be told?
So important.
Mm-hmm.
It is so important for children, and this is all children,
Mm-hmm.
to see brown babies and children in books being loved on,
Mm-hmm.
being treasured and
Mm-hmm.
valued by their families.
Yes.
That is a message that all children need to
Mm-hmm.
be exposed to in books and in all kinds of media.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because I think when we don't make it very, very clear, particularly for those who are not brown
Yeah.
families and brown
Mm-hmm.
babies, that brown babies are loved and valued and treasured, and their
Yeah.
lives are so valued and they matter so much. When
Yes.
they don't get that message in the media,
Yes.
then we see what some of the outcomes will be when they become adults, right?
Mm-hmm.
They don't
Mm-hmm.
understand that value innately. But when
Mm-hmm.
we start at this really young age,
Yes.
giving brown kids that mirror, and
Yes.
also giving non-brown kids that window, and those are terms coined by this Dr. Rudine Sims Bishop.
Mm-hmm.
She said all kids need books that are mirrors,
Absolutely.
windows, and sliding glass doors.
Ooh.
And so
That.
this is a book like that would be a mirror for a black family,
Mm-hmm.
and it would also be a window book for a non-black family or non-brown family, and it's equally important
Absolutely.
that kids read books like this. So yeah,
Absolutely.
that's the value.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And it is important that those stories be told. And one thing I thought was really good is the fact that you depicted the whole family, mother, father, and
Mm-hmm.
baby.
Yeah.
Because a lot of time I think there's a message that's being conveyed that fathers are not active. And I like what you spoke about earlier in our introduction earlier about your husband and
Mm-hmm.
my husband, because yes, there are African American males who are very much active in their children's lives and their
Mm-hmm.
family, and they participate daily. Uh,
Most, most,
exactly,
most. Yes.
exactly. And but that's not the message that's being conveyed. And it is important. So that's why I wanted to hear from you. I thought that that's where, that was probably one of the reasons why you wrote the book. But again, the message was conveyed very much. And I love the cover, how it was depicted. So the next one up is In All the Greatness in You. Can we share that book, In All the Greatness in You?
And this one is
Beautiful.
illustrated by Aliana Harris.
Yes,
And
yes.
I will tell you a quick little story.
Yes.
This is literally intended to be the follow up to this book.
Okay.
So,
Oh.
these books, yeah, both of these books are published by the same publisher,
Mhm.
Farash Johnson Giroux, and they have the same editor.
Okay.
And after this book came out, my editor, her name is Joy Peskin, she was like, we need a follow up book for when the
Okay.
babies kind of age out of this one,
Yeah.
another book of affirmation. And
Okay.
so, boom. So we got this book right here.
Beautiful, beautiful. All the
And this one
greatness
is
in you.
illustrated by Aliana Harris.
Aliana Harris. Beautiful.
Yeah.
So in this book and all the greatness in you, I'm constantly again reminded of the importance of daily affirmations, as we kind of talked about earlier. Your depiction of a mother's unconditional love and support for her son and her persistent appeal, I would say, to his conscience of his greatness is extraordinary. It really is. It's really extraordinary. She paid very, very close attention to, and was to him and poured into him so much. So I really love that. All of our children, but again, I'll say our boys in our community have, and I said, wow, I wonder why she wrote it from a mother to son perspective, and that was one of my questions. So I wanted to know what inspired you, to write this book in the way that you did. Awesome work.
Thank you.
Hmm.
Um, well, I was kind of, it actually took me a while to figure out how to write this one.
Okay.
Um, but when I remember,
Uh-huh.
it did take me a while to figure out how to write this one.
Yes.
But when my youngest daughter was getting ready to go to college,
Hmm.
and she was doing all of the things, applying for scholarships, applying for colleges, and she is an excellent student, by the way.
Yeah.
But she was so nervous, and
Okay.
she was, doubting herself as to whether or
Mhm.
not she would be, how she would fare against the competition and
Okay.
all of that. And so it was my job to kind of be her hype person, like, you are the
Absolutely.
the stuff, you got all of these skills, you got all of these,
All of it.
extracurriculars, you just the stuff. And
Absolutely.
if they don't realize it, whoever they are, then that is on them, right? because
Correct.
because you have everything
You have
inside of
all
you
of it. Hmm.
already to
Hmm.
do anything and everything that you set your mind to, and there is nothing that can stop you, no obstacle that's going to prevent you to get from getting where you ultimately want to go. So that was
Absolutely.
my job. So then when I was thinking about, okay, how am I going to write this sequel, it
Hmm.
struck me during that time. It took me a little while, but I was like, you know what, this is the message that all kids need to
For
hear,
sure.
that there is
For sure.
innate greatness inside of you that is just waiting to be revealed. There's stuff that's being revealed every day, and there's even more to come.
For
And so
sure.
when I said, okay, I want to write this, this is the message I want to give to kids,
Hmm.
then I was able to sit down and craft a poem to go with that.
Yes. Beautiful, beautiful. And you're right. It's just the importance of daily affirmations and continuously pouring into, children in general, but, especially under the circumstances that, we're dealing with, now and really every day and probably just his since in the history,
Yeah.
of America and just life in general. It's so important to continue to pour in our children daily and remind them of who they are. So I love that most of your books, again, like I feel like they're relatable, and I felt like they were almost autobiographical. Maybe most of them were. And again, how you just had the mom speaking, to into her son's conscience, like pouring into him. I thought that was really one, it was reminiscent of my childhood and what I do and what my husband and myself do with our daughter daily. It's so important. And she is an extraordinary student as well.
Mm-hmm.
Just, well, technically she's an eighth grader in years, but she's doing all they've advanced her. She's doing all ninth grade work,
Mm-hmm.
and she's
Yeah.
really smart. She's an AIG student and National Honor Society and all of the things, and very bright and an artist at the same time.
All right.
Yeah, so I certainly believe in that. And again, as you mentioned earlier, even in utero, it's important to start reading and speaking to your children. The fact that they're not born, I remember one of the biggest compliments I received. One of the schools that she attended, the reading teacher, they had a reading teacher. They were third, fourth grade. And she said, "What is it that you do?" Because she's always had She was always advanced, particularly in reading and her ability to understand and discernment with certain things. And she said, "What if you don't mind?" She said one of my daughters, well, I think was her only daughter, is pregnant right now. She said, "What did you do?" And she said, I mean, she was a former teacher, principal, but she said, "I just want to know, what did you do?" She said, "Because very apparent that your daughter, she's advanced reader, she's super smart." And she said, "What did you do?" I said, "Well, we started reading to her in utero. We started reading to her in utero. When she was in my stomach, we were reading
Mhm.
books." And it's so important. And we read a book every single night. Now she just reads. We don't have to read to her anymore, obviously. But it's important. And so I love that, pouring into your children and being present in that way and constantly reminding them about who they are and the greatness in them. So I love that. All the greatness in you. Listeners, again, you got to go out and get these books. I'm telling you. Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. May
Mhm.
I re-emphasize what you just said about the importance of reading
Yeah.
to to our children, to
Mhm.
children.
Mhm.
Um, I believe that any type of success a person you want your child to grow up to have, and I
Mhm.
don't care if they're a STEM kid, if they're a drama kid, if
There you go.
whatever it is,
There you go.
reading is the foundation
It
of
really is.
any type of success that you want your kids to grow up to have.
Mhm. Mhm.
Is so important.
There you
Not just the skill of reading, but the to try to plant a love of reading in your
Mhm.
children's hearts.
Mhm.
Um, I've said this before. It's like I said, I got grown kids, and they
Yes.
always got some criticisms for you about things you could have done
Yeah.
better. When
Okay. Yeah.
but the one thing that they all agree on, even my most critical child, is that the way we read with them when they were young
Yes.
was of such value.
Really?
And make it an event. Like, it don't make it a have to. You got to read, this, that,
No.
and the other. Make it establish a practice of a thing you get to.
Oh,
And when
absolutely.
they're young, put them on your lap. Make it
Mhm.
a thing.
Make it
Like,
a
make
thing.
it fun. Do all the voices.
Yes.
Uh,
That's exactly right.
get dramatic with it.
Yes.
Make it something that they look forward to every night, spending time with you.
I love that.
Let them read to you when they get older. Oh my gosh, my kids were like well past the age where they needed us to read with them, but they just wanted that time at nighttime.
Absolutely.
Sometimes you reading back and forth with each
That's
other. It's
right.
just
That's
reading
right.
is important.
It is important.
Yeah.
Excellent. I totally agree. I totally agree with everything you just said. I think about it. It is absolutely important, and they will grow to love it, if we institute this as a part of, our day-to-day lives. So excellent, excellent. So, and we're almost drawn to, a close here, but I know there's one more book and we cannot forget that one. Now, it's not published yet, but it's coming out in 2026. We talked about it a little bit earlier. Prayer is. I love that book. Thank you so much for letting me just have the inside scoop on that one. That was really good. Again, another
You're welcome.
relatable book. Prayer is. And I know you probably don't have, you don't have the hard copy to that to show right now, do you?
I don't
Yeah.
have a physical
I
copy of that
figured,
one
yeah,
yet.
you don't have a
No.
physical copy. But guys, you can also go on her website. She's going to share that with you too in a little bit, and you'll see like the cover of it, the image of it. But in that book, you know, titled "Prayer Is," that again coming out in 2026. What I thought was what I just immediately thought about, I was like, wow, prayer is almost like I immediately thought about the slogan people always started with: God is. God is the tree, God is the air, God is us, God is in us. Prayer, prayer. So why did you feel it was significant and to discuss the importance of prayer?
um all the greatness in you, one of the things we talk about is resilience,
Yeah.
right? And I think that's something that also we need to kind of refocus on, trying to
Hmm.
make sure our kids have these days that
Hmm.
bounce back.
Hmm.
Because life is such that's something that we need. It's not always going to be easy. Sometimes
Yes.
it's going to be really, really hard.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to have tools and things to help us be resilient and bounce back. And I think that prayer is one of them.
Mm-hmm.
There are so many different aspects of prayer. We
Yes.
talk about the meditation aspect of it in the book, or I do rather. We talk about how it is not just for us. It's not like an ATM kind of a thing,
Right.
how it sustains us,
Right.
how it strengthens our faith, how using prayer to benefit others and to encourage others and to lift others up
Mm-hmm.
um is not only beneficial for them, is beneficial for us as well.
Yeah.
We talk about how prayer is something that sustains, and it's not just for the believer. It's not just for good times. It's also for
Absolutely.
hard times. It's also for the
Absolutely.
doubter. I mean, prayer is just, it's the thing that I think sustains me most, even when
Mm.
I can't see, even in these times,
Mm-hmm.
even when I can't see the morning,
That's right.
even when I don't know how morning, when it's going to arrive or how to get there. I do know that morning will come, and
Yes.
I do know that God cares, and
Yes.
do know that God wants to hear
Mm-hmm.
from me all of my doubts, my fears, my anger,
Mm-hmm.
and of course my love and my honor and my devotion. So it's just a way to communicate
Mm-hmm.
to the Almighty. And I think that it's important for us to teach kids about the breadth of prayer.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times we simplify it to the five-finger prayer. What is
Yeah.
it? Pray for you, pray for others,
Yes.
all of the
Yes.
different very methodical and rote things. But I don't think we should uh simplify prayer as being something that's rote.
Mm-hmm.
I think we need to communicate that it's the way that we connect to God,
Yes.
and it's being authentic,
Mm-hmm.
and it's telling him
All the things.
the things we love about him, the things
Mm-hmm.
we're afraid of, the
Mm-hmm.
things that are hard, the things
Mm-hmm.
that are stressful, the things that are
Mm-hmm.
overwhelming,
Mm-hmm.
and just teaching kids to know that communication, that God is listening
Mm-hmm.
and that God is going to take care of us. And
Love.
sometimes even his no
Mm-hmm.
is taking care of
Yes.
us. And so to learn all of those
Yes.
things, and
Yes.
even though you've read it, it's a
Yes.
children's book, it's not very wordy. I think we still communicate all of those things.
You absolutely do. You absolutely do. And again, I strongly, believe in prayer. Prayer changes things.
Yes.
And not to get too preachy or whatever,
Yeah.
I just have used it for myself.
I done tried it.
I done tried it.
And he's all right.
You listen, I don't even want to get up here and shout. I'm telling you, I said, wow, what a title, what a book. And again, it reminds us because I automatically thought affirmations.
Yeah.
Prayer really is is an
Yeah.
affirmation. It really is. Praying is basically repetitive affirmations and gratitude for me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
I always really, when I pray, I start with I'm thanking God for
Right.
what I have, the things I don't
Absolutely.
know, the things I don't understand, praying for discernment, praying for, the powers that be in life and in abundance or what have you,
Mm-hmm.
just, being able to, I feel like, just to thank God in that moment is prayer for me is meditation. Prayer for me
Mm-hmm.
is a lot of things. I think, people can underestimate the power of prayer,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
truthfully, and it don't have to have a necessarily a religious connotation. I think
Mm-hmm.
people automatically think, well, oh, well, here, there. No,
Mm-hmm.
it's really an opportunity
Mm-hmm.
to connect with the Almighty.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
It's an
Yeah.
opportunity for you to connect personally
Mm-hmm.
with the Almighty.
Yeah.
And
And it's
it,
personal.
it's personal.
And,
It's personal.
be authentic about it,
And be
because like I
authentic.
said, I sometimes my prayer is Lord, help my unbelief.
That's
I
it.
believe, Lord, help my unbelief. And he wants that too. He wants
Yes,
that too.
because we're all his children.
Yeah.
Hmm. He wants
Yeah.
that
So we have to come to him authentically. And
authentically.
then when you go through life, you can look back and say, God, I know that was you.
That was you.
Thank
Nothing
you.
but you
Thank you for sustaining me. Even when I was not, I was on the edge. Thank
on
you.
the edge.
Yeah.
Thank you. For real.
Yeah.
No, you're speaking. You're speaking. I said, okay, you the preacher, the choir, and I'm amen. Yes,
Yeah.
amen. Prayer is, I love that. Prayer is. So that one will be coming out available when in 2026? Do we have a date?
Yes. January 13th.
January 13th, 2026.
Yes.
Listeners,
Yeah.
go out. I've named and I'm gonna recount them. We have let's go back. Let's go back. We're gonna go all the way back, because we're drawing to a close. But I want everybody to go out and buy Tameka's books. I absolutely enjoyed them. That flag,
Thank you.
that flag. And we're gonna go, Tameka, go ahead. It don't well, go ahead and
Am I
pull
holding them up?
it. Yeah. Hmm.
Okay. That flag.
That flag, yes. And next up is Not Done Yet. Not done yet. All right, listeners, not done yet. And then 12 dinging doorbells. 12 dinging doorbells.
Mhm.
Yes, 12 dinging doorbells. Yes. And my cold plum lemon pie bluesy mood. That's the next one. Brown baby lullaby is next.
And two fall on the floor. Here we go. Brown baby lullaby.
Brown
There we
baby
go.
lullaby. Yes. And then all the greatness in you. Yes, yes. Tamika, it has been a pleasure talking with you and
Yes.
having this really an esteemed honor for me to have you here today because honestly, you're an award-winning author, children's book. You have been able to impact, children's lives and their parents in so many, many, many ways and impactful ways. And we just thank you. We thank you for just spending a little time with us here on Thinking with Tay today. And I'll tell you, before we draw to a close, is there anything I'll say that we haven't covered and that you want our listeners to know?
Well, have been very thorough, and I thank you so much for the opportunity to share my books with your listeners. I guess just to reemphasize how important it is to read to
Yes,
our kids, how important it is to build their libraries
yes,
with books
yes,
that look like them, mirror books, as well as window books where they can experience the world and the lives of other people. Reading is just so powerful,
yes,
and just read with your kids.
yes, yes. I love it. I love it. Thank you. So, where can our listeners, I'll say, find you? I mean, do you want to share with with our listeners, your website, maybe social media handles, platforms, etc.?
For sure.
Okay.
My website is tamekafryerbrown.com, TAMEKAFRYER Brown.com. I am on Instagram at Tameka Fryer Brown. I have a public Facebook page, which is tamekafryerbrown.author. I'm even trying to do a little something on TikTok. I'm not as
Oh,
consistent there,
okay.
but that handle is Tameka Fryer Brown as well.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. And again, I tell you, again, it's been a pleasure. It's been an honor, and I enjoyed your books. I know I'm going to go back and read them again. My daughter has read them. She loved them.
Yay.
And so I'm certainly going to share them with my little ones in my family and my friend circle as well. But it's such an honor to have you again here tonight on Thinking with Tay, and we just appreciate your presence here today and your work in the community and in the world because you are certainly impacting the world in a great way. So thank you for your contribution.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Thank you. And until next time, listeners, I want you to just be like Miss Brown here today. Try to find ways to contribute to society in such a positive way. We want to make sure that anything that we're putting out in the world is positive, because positivity makes the world go round. Even in a climate that may not be so positive, try your best to be a contributor of positivity so that greatness can become normal, that nice and kindness can become the norm. So listeners, make sure everything we discuss here today, just, kind of think about that and how you can start to exhibit behaviors that, like many of the books and the characters that Miss Brown shared with us today and that she's authored. So we thank you. We thank you for the opportunity again, Tameka. We will see you next time.